Hi, my name is Tim, and this story is about how I wanted to impress a girl so much I almost burned a house down, with people in it. This is not like me at all, and I can't even believe this happened. It basically all started with a lie. Even before it all began, I fell in love with the girl from my school who was 1 grade older. Her name is Olivia, and for weeks already I've been trying to talk to her. I've been hanging around at lunch breaks, hoping there would be a chance to start a natural conversation. For a very long time, nothing happened, and I was just too shy to talk to her. But then, on one of those lunch breaks, I overheard Olivia's conversation with her classmate. They were talking about a group of older guys who are actually pretty famous at our school. I'll call them the crew. It's hard to say what's so special about them. Maybe it's everything. In a dictionary, the word awesome is probably illustrated with their photos. They are 3 guys and 2 girls that always hang out together. They're an electronic band who plays shows not only at our school, but also at venues around town. They all look 25 and are cool and popular. They've never bullied anyone. More than that, if they see that someone is being bullied, they go out of their way to protect them. But apart from that, they hang out separately and don't really talk to anyone else. So Olivia was relatively new to our school, and she was telling her friend that she'd really like to get to know these guys somehow, but she didn't know how. I was with my friend Jim at the table right next to her. I'm not a stalker, I don't think. And I have no idea what I was thinking, but I felt like this was my chance. I turned to her table, apologized for overhearing the conversation, and said that I knew the guys from the crew pretty well, and I could introduce her if she wanted. And that was a huge, shameless lie. I guess I kind of blacked out and just said it. Awesome, she said. Why don't we do that now? This was when I panicked. I did not know what to do. I was trying to buy some time and, luckily, after a couple of minutes, the group stood up and left. She didn't see it and I was like, oh no, they already left. Well, maybe some other time then. I did not care when that other time would be. Our contact had been established. I guess I was hoping she'd forget my promise, but couldn't forget the fact that we're now acquainted. I know, there's no logic in it, but that happens when you talk to a crush for the first time. I guess most of us go through this at some point. In the evening, it got even better. Or even worse. I'm still not sure. She DM'd me on Instagram. Yeah, she found my account, followed it, and DM'd me to remind me about the promise. We texted each other for another hour or so, and I felt like the happiest person on earth. But as it often happens, in the morning that feeling was gone, and it had been replaced by fear. The moment I woke up, I realized that now I really had to introduce her to people that I did not know, and there was no way out of it. I started thinking of ways to get to know the crew naturally. But as you've probably already guessed, I'm not too good at stuff like that. In addition, younger guys and girls are trying to hang out with them all at the same time, like sitting down at their lunch table. But they just look ridiculous. I definitely needed help, so I decided to ask my friend Jim, who I've already mentioned. He's basically the only person I can trust at school, so I didn't have much choice. I'd be happy to say that the crazy idea you're about to hear is his, but I'm afraid it was mine. And he agreed with it, so I'm not the only one accountable, right? Anyway, here's what we decided to do. Jim knew where the garage where they were playing music was located. It was not a garage by a house, just a set of garages and warehouses on the outskirts of town. They would come there to practice every Thursday and Saturday. So, the idea was to bring a little bit of gasoline and to set the garage on fire. Just a little bit. Like, to create an illusion that it was on fire. And then for me to save them like a hero from the fire and get to know them like this. Naturally, the best icebreaker ever. God, it all sounds dumber than I thought. Jim was with me to help, and we decided to do this on a Saturday when the crew was supposed to be at the garage. And that's what happened. I poured some gasoline on the wall right beside the garage door. I lit a match, and one of the crew walked out of the building and saw me there clearly trying to set the building on fire. I looked in for a second and ran off. Jim was waiting a bit further, out of sight, but he ran like crazy too. Now I could not even tell which of my problems was bigger. The next day at school, I was trying to spend as little time in the hallways as possible. I had my lunch outside. I was hiding my face most of the time, so I wouldn't be noticed by the crew or Olivia. But I did not last long like that. After my last class had finished, I was heading home, not even looking up so I wouldn't get noticed. And then I bumped into someone. It was the exact guy from the crew that I'd seen the other day. The others were there too. And they all wanted to hear about what was going on near the garage the night before. I was desperately trying to make something up, mumbling something about me trying to prank a friend whose garage was right next door, and that I mixed them up. The story did not make much sense, but I think the guys were starting to believe me, or at least just thought I was crazy, which was also a little bit better. But after a couple of seconds, I heard a familiar voice right beside me. I turned my head and saw Olivia. She saw me talking to the guys and thought the time was perfect for me to introduce her. "So can you introduce me to your friends now?" she asked, right in front of them, smiling. I was so embarrassed. I think I forgot my own name. I looked at her, looked at the crew's puzzled faces, and I just ran off. Again. And I did not look back. I am still trying to disappear every time I bump into Olivia or the guys from the crew at school. And it usually happens at the same time because they've started to hang out together. Yep. Jim heard from someone that their friendship started with discussing what a weirdo I was. I mean, I'm not kidding. I still got them acquainted. Not quite as I planned though, but I guess I kept my promise. I know it would have not happened like